Another week, another pathetic loss for the New York Jets. Hello and welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today is Sunday, November 17th. This is episode 428 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast, and it's another Sunday and another embarrassing, disastrous New York Jets loss, this time at home against the Indianapolis Colts as the New York Jets blow this game late. The defense lies down and gets dominated in the fourth quarter, allowing two scoring drives from the Anthony Richardson-led Colts to lose 28-27 and fall to 3-8 on the season, 2-3 at home. And for the Colts, they keep their playoff hopes alive with a win. They improve to 5-6 and 2-4 on the road. I mean, what more really needs to be said about this team? This was another one of these same old Jets type performances. You go out, it takes you 4 drives to convert a first down. You start the game you start the game 5 straight actually drives with no first downs. And then you score, you're down 13-0. You score before halftime. You go into halftime down 13-7. You come out of the half, take a 24-16 lead in the fourth quarter, and you find a way to blow this game with an 8-play drive from Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts, a 10-yard touchdown pass to Josh Downs, and in a 6-play drive from Anthony Richardson on a 4-yard rushing touchdown. This team every single week finds a new low, finds a new way to lose. This week it's blowing meaningless timeouts late in the game, not getting out of the huddle in time, defense collapsing. There are so many problems with this team week in and week out. There are so many problems with this organization. And I said it last week, and I will say it again. I don't know how, if you are a New York Jet fan right now that is breathing the same air that anybody else is, that you could possibly think it is a good idea to run this thing back with Aaron Rodgers and a coach of his choice and expect a different result next season. I mean, if you are somebody that watched this game today, it was not a pretty performance from Aaron Rodgers. And especially that last drive was beyond pathetic from Aaron Rodgers and this offense. 46 seconds left, no timeouts. And what do the New York Jets do? 3 plays, -2 yards. Rodgers fumble, recovered by Conklin for a loss of 7. Then he finds Breece Hall. Then there was a penalty, so they got 5 yards on top of the 11-yard Breece Hall reception. And then Aaron Rodgers got sacked to end the game. So many problems. Today was another one of these games where the Jets had a chance. They came back. They had an 8-point lead in the fourth quarter. And a quarterback in his first game back from being benched, a quarterback that went into this game with a completion percentage, the worst completion percentage in the NFL, went out there this afternoon, completed 66% of his passes for a touchdown, including 2 big touchdown drives where he scored with his legs twice, and in the one he had to Josh Downs. Beyond pathetic, embarrassing, disgusting, whatever words you can use to describe this team in a negative way is probably the right way. And I said, I'm broken. I'm deflated. I'm broken. There is nothing left really that needs to be said about this team week in and week out. Thank God there is a bye week next week, and we don't have to watch this garbage for the 12th game in a row. At least we get a break here. 11 games. All right, now we get a break. Only 6 more left, Jets fans. Only 6 more games left. I know it's a lot, but thankfully there is only 6 games left. That is also a negative. If you could press a button and end this season today, just forfeit the season, that's fine. I wouldn't be against it. It's just all you can do. Really, all you can do is laugh. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm laughing when Aaron Rodgers fumbled that ball because the Jets should have never even been in that situation. And that's where I want to start. The incompetence of this team was on full display in the fourth quarter. The way the New York Jets, after they scored to make it 24-16, with about 13 minutes left in this game, all they had to do was hold Anthony Richard and his Colts offense down for 13 more minutes, and they would get the job done. All they had to do was probably score one more touchdown and put a dagger in the Colts. And the way they handled this fourth quarter was so same old typical Jets. So they have the lead. And before the Colts go down and score, and the New York Jets then blow two meaningless timeouts. They blow two timeouts that should have never, ever happened. They blow one timeout because they couldn't get out of the huddle in time. They got out of the huddle with like 6 seconds left, no actually urgency. There was a time in this game where the Jets were playing with some tempo. They were playing with some urgency. And that's where they had some of their success. That's where they had, a couple of those plays to Breece Hall. That's where Breece Hall was having some success. You saw Devontae Adams get involved a little bit here down the stretch when the Jets were playing with some tempo. For whatever the case was, the tempo slowed down again this year. How many times this season have we seen Aaron Rodgers and this offense get in and out of the huddle slowly and have to call timeouts because they can't get up and get the playoff in time before the play clock hits zero? So they have to burn a timeout, waste a timeout because of that. And then this pathetic coaching staff wastes a timeout because they sent the offense out there. This was even worse. In that situation, you're up 24-22. If you're going to go for it, go for it. If you're not, just kick it. Don't try and set the offense offside or the defense off sides and then burn your last time out. You don't do that. You don't do that. Any competent team doesn't do that. I mean, that was so pathetic, and they left themselves with one timeout, which they took when the Colts were inside the 5-yard line to try and burn the clock so they didn't run it completely down before they scored. You don't do that. You either go for it or you don't. The New York Jets went into the final basically 5 minutes of this game with 3 timeouts. And they blew them because they couldn't get to the line of scrimmage in time, because they tried to draw the defense off sides, which in that situation you don't do. You just keep it in your back pocket. You just kick the field goal and move on. The odds are not in your favor. And then they burn the other timeout when the Colts were down just about to score because they didn't want the clock to kind of hit, to the point where the Colts were going to punch it in with like 10 seconds left, which is fine. But that should have not been their last timeout. Incompetent coaching, incompetent organization, unserious organization. Little things like that have piled up all year long. And that's why this team is 3-8. 3-8. I mean, are you serious? They are 3-8 right now. A season that was supposed to see this playoff drought end. A year that was supposed to see this team go deep in the playoffs. We are talking about a 3-8 football team right now that doesn't know how to manage their timeouts. I mean, it's the little things. I know Andres Carlson had a good day today. He was probably the top performer. But they can't even get the kicking situation right. They don't even know how to properly use their timeouts. And we're talking about running it back with this team. I mean, there is no choice but to blow this thing up. They need a complete rebuild. They need a complete overhaul of everybody in this front office, everybody on this coaching staff, and you can get this old, washed-up quarterback out of this uniform because I'm sick of him. No urgency. He continues to point the finger, and he's not any good anymore. He's not. And he's not going to be any better next year. He's going to be 41 next year. He's going to be 42 next December. There's certain situations where age is just a number. That's not the case with this quarterback. But I don't want to get completely off track. So those were the timeout problems. And then in the fourth quarter, the defense collapses. How many times over the last 2 seasons have we talked about this defense? Oh, I can't wait to see what they can do when they play with a lead. And they've had a couple instances this year where they played with leads and they had a chance to close the game out. And this week might be the most embarrassing just because of the circumstances and the team that they were playing. I really had to do a double take. I thought Peyton Manning was back under center for the Colts in this game. And he was throwing it to Marvin Harrison. I mean, I really had to do a double take while watching this game. That's how Swiss cheese the Jets defense, the Jets secondary was down the stretch. And that falls on Ulbrich. He's clearly overwhelmed. And I don't know why he's still calling the defensive plays. He should have gave up the play calling the minute he was named interim head coach. Because you could just tell he was going to be overwhelmed. He had to assume coaching duties. He is so in over his head. And this defense is so overrated. And it's so sad. Like, oh, remember they were calling themselves the 85 Bears and all this nonsense. They're so cocky. They think they're so good, and they're not. They are terrible. And this general manager also, or do we even call him a general manager? This lame duck general manager who's going to be out here in 6 games took some of the strongest parts of this defense and turned it into a weakness, the defensive line. And this secondary is awful. The regression of Sauce Gardner continues. The safeties today in coverage were awful. Oliver wasn't very good. He was getting picked apart. Jalen Mills, a couple plays where he didn't execute on his assignment. That's another problem with this team. These safeties are horrific. They need a complete overhaul at safety. It might be time for the New York Jets to actually put more stock into the safety position. And believe me, that's not the only problem. But for the past couple years now, the Jets have sold low on safeties, and they've been able to just get by. But when Sauce Gardner's not playing as well, and your defensive line's not getting home as consistently as you would like, although I did think today was a very good day for Quinnen Williams, and we'll get to that here. But the safeties this year have been really picked apart. Really picked apart. Playing with a lead against Anthony Richardson. And this is what you do. You're up 24-16 with 10 minutes left against Anthony Richardson and the Colts. And what do? You allow them to go down and score back-to-back touchdown drives, and you lose 28-27. And in the process of losing that, you blow 2 timeouts on the same offensive drive because you couldn't get to the line of scrimmage quick enough. 11 games in, and we still can't get that crap figured out. And then your second timeout you blow on that drive is because you wanted to try and get the defense to jump. Just kick the field goal or go for it. They should have just went for it. You should have known what you were going to get out of this defense because we saw Anthony Richardson and this team make it a 24-22 game with the 8-play, 70-yard drive the drive before. They drove down the field in less than 3 minutes. They should have just went for it. You're 3-7. You got nothing to lose. Worst case scenario, you pin them back. They're at their own 17-yard line. They've got to go 83 yards as opposed to kicking the field goal. Or, hey, you get the touchdown. Even if you don't score, you drain more time off the clock. But what do? They call timeout. Rodgers clearly wants to go for it, so they send him out there. Don't get them to jump, so they blow a meaningless timeout. Rodgers still wants to go for it. They kick the field goal. I mean, seriously? Seriously. That was like, I'm sitting there. I'm like, no way. I'm sitting there. When they go out there, when they're sending them up there at the line of scrimmage, 4th and 2, I'm like, you know what? Maybe they're going to go for it. I like this. I wanted the aggressive play call. I didn't want them to kick the field goal. I wanted them to go for it because I didn't trust the defense to stop them. This team needed to make it a 31-22 game. They needed to make this a 2-score, 9-point game with 2 minutes left to really bury Indy to the point where the Colts would have needed a miracle. That's what I wanted the Jets to do. And what do you know? They kicked the field goal. And guess what? They lose. And that's another, and that's what I was saying. Like when they went 4th and 4th and 2, I was like, okay, this is good. And then once Rodgers did his first hard count, I knew. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. They're going to blow a meaningless timeout because of this. It's stupid. It's so stupid. So stupid. And they left themselves with 1 timeout. Only the Jets can go into the final 5 minutes of a game with 3 timeouts and blow them the way they did. Only the Jets can do that. Only the freaking Jets. So those are just kind of opening thoughts. If you even want to call those opening thoughts, that was basically the ball game. That was it. If you didn't watch the rest of this game and you just watched the final 5 minutes, you pretty much got all you need to know about the state of this team. Really, that's really all you need to know. You let Anthony Richardson and this team go run a perfect 2-minute drill down the field, and the defense was not even existent. And again, this team wasn't even ready to play. They were not even ready to play. How many more times, year in and year out, do we need to see this team come out flat? Come out flat. I mean, they even came out flat on defense. They should have let up a touchdown on the first drive. They got lucky. Anthony Richardson's not very good. He missed an easy pass. I forget to who, but he missed a screen pass. Missed a screen pass on 3rd down. They got lucky that they kicked the field goal. They should have been down. They should have been down 14-0 after the Colts' first 3 drives. But again, they find themselves down 10-0 early on. And early in this game, 5 straight drives without a first down. 5 straight drives. They had 6 drives in the first half. 5 of them were 3-and-outs. 5 of them. So pathetic. So disgusting. Like I said, with Rodgers, there's not much more needs to be said. I cannot bring this guy back. If you're somebody that's just going to look at the box score, you're going to say, oh, he threw for 2 touchdowns. Great. No, there was a lot of missed throws. He missed Garrett twice. He threw the ball twice behind him. One of them almost intercepted. The other one went off of Garrett's hands, but a terrible throw. He missed him twice. We've still seen this play multiple times where Conklin doesn't get turned around quick enough and Rodgers still throws the ball his direction on 3rd down. How many more times do we need to see this team throw short of the sticks on 3rd down? So Rodgers is cooked. He's done. You can't bring him back. This team needs seismic changes, if that's even a word. They need a complete 180 overhaul of every working person in this organization. Coaching staff, front office. And if you bring Rodgers back, you're not going to get the top coach available. If you bring Rodgers back, that's going to lead you to be handcuffed with your next coach. We're going to be talking about Mike McCarthy or somebody like that coming back or coming in and it blowing up in our face. Get out of Rodgers' prison. Get out. Sell a coach on your top 5 pick that you're probably going to get. Because this is usually a game the Jets win today. You know that things are really going bad when they lose this game. This is always a game the Jets win. For the people out there that still believed, if they would have won today, you would have been like, oh, 4-7 going into the bye week. Let's talk about playoffs. Although the Broncos at the time of this recording are blowing out Atlanta, so it probably wouldn't even matter today because they still would have been 2 back. But that's the point I'm trying to make. Is Rodgers, no coach is going to come here for a 1-year window Rodgers. Nor is Rodgers going to want to change the system, learn a new system at 41 years old. He's not going to want to do that. Get rid of him. Blow it up. Restart. You signed Tyrod for a reason. Bridge year. Draft a quarterback. Have him sit. Bridge year. You have Travis. Let him sit as well. You have 2 young guys. Sit behind Tyrod. You sign him to a 2-year contract for a reason. Just Move on. Move on. Rodgers wants to play next year. Great. Tell us where you want to play. We'll trade you. I can't take it. I can't take it. In terms of the running game, Brees had a good day, really good day for him. Touchdown, 78 rushing yards. He was also really good through the air with a receiving touchdown as well. So, good day for Brees. In terms of Devontae, early on, a lot of there was back-to-back plays in one of their drives where they went 2 1-yard passes. Garrett, and then on 1st and 10, they went to Garrett, and then 2nd and 9, they went to Devontae, or maybe vice versa. They might have went to Devontae, then Garrett, and it was 3rd and 8. So that was like a tip. That was like a 10-yard Jets offense. That's another thing too. They don't even take shots deep. Like, I'm sitting there watching this game, and I'm saying to myself, throw it deep. You're 3-7. Yeah, I don't know. I said that so many times today watching this game. Legitimately, I probably said it like 5-6 times today. You're 3-7. Like, there was things that the Jets were doing today where I'm thinking to myself, you're 3-7. I said it when they went 4th and 2. I'm like, you're 3-7. Go for it. No faith in your defense. Go for it. How many times today do we see the Jets take a chance deep? You're 3-7. I mean, when's the last time they actually hit on a deep ball with the Devontae or Garrett Wilson? When's the last time we connected on a throw 40 yards downfield? Everything right now is a 10 to 15 yard window. 15 yards generous. It's like 5 to 10 yard window. It's what it is. So pathetic. Yeboah caught his first touchdown of his career today too. So that was pretty random, but good for Yeboah, I guess. And that was it. Malachi Corley, we saw him. Malachi Corley sighting. He had a catch. Conklin had a catch. Ruckert had actually a nice snag. Although he also had a play early in the game. Ruckert's got to show you more. Ruckert hasn't shown a whole lot. The tight end position is really going to be interesting next year. Conklin hitting free agency. I don't think you're bringing him back. Ruckert hasn't shown you enough to be the starter. Yeboah he hasn't shown you enough. Who knows who the heck's going to be playing tight end for this team next year? A lot of questions there. Defensively, Clemens had the one bag play on the what's it called? The play to the end zone with the Richardson touchdown, but Clemens actually made a couple plays today. Quinnen had a really good day. He had a sack, two tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits. Him and Quincy were the only 2 guys to show up. The brothers showed up. And that's one thing I would say with Quincy Williams. He's one of the only guys week in and week out that actually shows up. Not many guys in this team have done that. A lot of guys have checked out. Very unlikable team. But there's a couple guys that week in and week out keep bringing the energy, keep doing a lot for this team. Not many of them. Very unlikable team. But Quinnen and Quincy had a big day today. Kinlaw had a sack. He also had a fumble recovery, he also had a forced fumble, or he recovered it as well. So that was a miracle. First play that Kinlaw actually made was positive in his career. And that was it. Nobody really well in the secondary. DJ got beat a couple times. Sauce got beat a couple times. Like I said, the safeties were getting picked apart all day. Nothing going on. I thought they did a pretty good job stopping the run, to be honest, but through the air, it was complete opposite. The Jets were so focused on this is typical Jets. They were so focused on tackling this week. And they were so focused on the tackling. And now this week they couldn't cover. If I was out there, they couldn't cover me. So one problem goes away for a week and another one arises. That's basically how it is. The Colts averaged 2.6 yards per carry. Now, Richardson had 2 rush touchdowns, but neither were very long. But the coverage-wise, they let Richardson throw for 272 yards. Pathetic. He was picking apart this defense all day in the secondary. So, it's gross. Gross. But we should have known, right? It's the Jets team that had to practice tackling in week 11. So that's it. Tankathon update. For those of you who are all aboard the tank train, which I'm right there with you. Tankathon update. Jets right now have the 7th pick in the draft after today, so they only move up one spot at 3 and 8. Of course, a lot can change. I'm sure the Jets will probably still find a way to win a couple games. I still doubt this team will finish with 4 wins, although I'll be honest, today was actually the first time that this team might actually finish with maybe only 4 wins, because today is not usually a game the Jets lose. This is usually a game the Jets win. But that wasn't the case. In terms of moving forward, I mean, they're not beating Seattle. They're not going to beat Miami in Miami. They probably will beat Jacksonville. Jets and Jacksonville are probably like in terms of like worst spots a franchise can be in. They're both pretty much right there. So that will be a pretty large tank battle. That'll actually be very, very impactful for the tank, because in a way that could be a game. That could be a game that has a lot of impact on who gets like the first or top pick. It could be, because if Jacksonville wins that game and the Jets then own the tiebreaker over Jacksonville, they could be in a spot for a really high pick. So that'll probably be the tank bowl. They're not beating the Rams. They're definitely not beating the Bills. And Miami's might be playing for like a wild card spot final week, so they're going to come out. Their only game that they might actually win at this point is Jacksonville. Really. Especially after today, like losing to the Colts today the way they did. Like I said, this is usually a game the Jets win. That's why I predicted the Jets to win, because today's a game they win. They don't, like, not because they're better or anything, just because same old Jets would win this game, or the typical Jets would win this game. So then there's a portion of the fan base that'll say, oh, playoffs for the next week, bye week. Oh, come out of the bye week, make adjustments. But then you couldn't even get to the bye week. You look at the schedule. They're not beating Seattle, not beating Miami on the road. They never beat Miami on the road. They haven't beaten Miami on the road since, I believe, Geno's perfect passer rating game. And then Jacksonville, that's probably it. So this team seriously might finish with 4 wins. And if that's the case, you tank, you finish with 3 wins, and a very undesirable landing spot for a head coach and a general manager. If you can get a top 3 pick, if you can have like the number 2, number 3 pick, number 1 pick is a little unrealistic. I'm not going to go there. But if you can get a top 3 pick, or heck, even top 5, and you're at number 4 or number 5, all of a sudden, maybe somebody would want to come here with the possibility of drafting a young quarterback and molding that quarterback and potentially having a future piece there. But then again, as the Jets, they're never going to probably hit on a quarterback. It's going to be the same cycle. We'll be here in like 2 years again, probably talking about, I don't know, which coach are we going to be talking about firing? Who are they going to hire? So anyway, I'll be back tomorrow, as I always am. This week, I'll probably, since it's the bye week, plan on getting a guest on. Not sure when that might be, but plan on getting a guest on, as I usually do for the bye weeks. Jets guest, so stay tuned for that. I'll have an episode up tomorrow with probably more takeaways, not really from this loss, but just more ranting about this team. Looking more towards the future. Thinking of some more creative episodes, because it's the same thing every episode that we talk about. Yeah. This week, maybe talk about some coaching candidates. Last week we did GMs. This week, probably do some coaching candidates with the bye week. So stay tuned. There'll be a lot more content coming your way. Who knows? Maybe the Jets fire somebody. I don't know. Maybe they bring in Rex this week. Who knows? Nothing surprised me at this point. That'll do it. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you all. And thanks for tuning in.